Effective communication is to transfer the idea in your head in a telling, interesting, and effective manner into the heads of your listeners. Our own great Emerson said, "If you have something to say, you will be given the power to say it." You have a subject, a picture in your mind, and you want to transfer it step by step, as a building is moved from your mind to the minds of others. If you can do that with real interest, humor, in a relaxed and friendly manner, you're a big success. The subject of this message is to learn to speak with strength and effectiveness. Trim your speech of all irrelevancies, all discontinuities, all cliches. Never, please, as long as you live, every day, and last but not least or without further ado, clean your talk so that it stands lean and muscular with no excess baggage. When I have an important speech to make, I write it out first, every word and phrase. If there are awkward locations and there are many words that work fine in print that are difficult to work with in a speech, look for pompous, effective speech and cut it out or reword it in a less formal, friendlier form. Take your subject and your speech seriously, just as you do your work. I've been writing 5-minute radio programs for 18 years, and I've never found one that couldn't be handled in 5 minutes in what I consider to be an interesting and informative way. You could easily talk for an hour on any subject, but it's also true that it can be handled in an interesting, effective way in 5 minutes. If you can't think of anything to talk about, arbitrarily pick anything you see and write a 5-minute talk about it. Take any word that represents a concept such as love, honesty, justice, law, truth, honor, integrity, brotherhood. You can certainly write an interesting 5-minute talk about any one of them. If you own a set of encyclopedias, every word in your dictionary can be the subject of a most interesting speech, as can the alphabet. Nervousness comes from being unsure of our subject and our ability to effectively deliver it. After reading your speech over a few times, a few notes on a card will provide all the keys you need to keep on course and end on time. Pausing and hesitation are normal in everyday conversation. You should speak just as you would to one person, with no affectations, no stentorianness, no phony gestures. I believe everyone suffers from nervousness before a speech, the degree of it depending upon the makeup of the audience one needs to face. I feel that's a good thing. We get up for the speech and we work hard at doing a good job. I find it helps me a great deal if I can develop a kind of love for the audience before I begin to talk. Our humanity is our membership card, and we can develop a feeling of liking, of being glad we're there at that moment. And I believe that feeling is transmitted to the audience if it's good, if it's warm and positive and contains the feeling of love or liking or brotherhood. They seem to sense it and respond in a positive way. We can overcome a poor or average first impression with a good speech and wind up a big success, but it's a lot better to begin as a winner. Liking your audience will go a long way toward dispelling nervousness and stage fright. The fact that they're not all wearing big friendly smiles isn't important. You can enjoy it with them if you begin with the right attitude. That word attitude, has been called the most important word in the language, and people tend to respond favorably toward a good attitude. If you get to know anyone really well, you'll like them. We've got good eye contact with our audience, and we're so interested in what we're talking about, and we know our subject so thoroughly we can immerse ourselves in it. Before you make a speech, think about the group you're going to speak to. You can still make a valuable contribution in an excellent and much appreciated speech, but stay humble. Remember that other people are great in their ways too, and keep a healthy respect for the people you're addressing. Roger said that none of us is smart enough to remember all he knows. We need to remember that success in one field doesn't qualify us as experts or grant us omniscience in other fields. It's simply a matter of sticking with what you know, but you're really qualified to talk about many times. I've received letters and calls from people telling me they want to become speakers. They don't have a subject in which they're deeply involved and interested, and I don't think we need more speakers. We need more informed and dedicated people. We should stretch them if possible, but never make the mistake of assuming they aren't as smart as we are. It offends them deeply, and they quickly recognize that you've underestimated them. They're a lot smarter than you think. Never underestimate their brains nor their ability to grasp what you're talking about. Some time back, we went through a 2-page letter just for fun, and by cutting only the superfluous words, reduced it to a 1-page letter consisting of just 3 paragraphs. The new edition was fast, lean, and muscular. The experts go on to say that fully 96% of the average person's conversation is negative in nature. And since it's our thinking that determines what happens to us, we literally become what we think about most of the time. We tend to look on the gloomy side of things, to expect the worst rather than the best, and to wear a grim, unhappy expression about 90% of the time. The importance of having a positive and inspiring destination toward which you're directing your life. Dwelling on the negative can only have a negative influence upon our lives. Conversely, the more positive we can think, talk, and act, the brighter, the happier, the more successful our lives will become. I think another important point to insert here is that the idea of reading a book isn't to finish it and lay it aside. Well, that's a good reason for not getting into as big a hurry. And it's also a good reason for reading the book again at some future date.
I believe it's impossible to calculate the value of a good library. Coming into the room that contains your books is like coming into a room full of old, wise friends. The most important part of you, your mind, is being fed and nourished and broadened. Its vacant cells are being filled with new knowledge, new memories, and are activating new cells for new information. 6 times 1 equals 6. 1 hour a day, 6 days a week, every week. 1 hour that every human being on earth can find every day out of the supply of 24 each of us is given. If you say you want to write or do anything, then hang it. Do it even if it's only 1 hour a day, 6 days a week. But don't ever pull those twin phony alibis, I don't have enough time or I'm too tired, out of the head. And what are the keys to effectiveness in the world of work? It's your ability to communicate effectively and well. You spend as much as 75% of your time communicating and interacting with other people. There are 2 forms of communication. The first form is the way you talk to yourself and dialogue with yourself and think and plan for yourself. And the other form of communication is the way you interact with others. Wonderful in us how to communicate is a learned skill, and you can get better and better at it by learning what the best communicators do and practicing it until it becomes a regular part of your repertoire. Number 1. There are three elements to any conversation. Words only account for 7% of the message. When you talk, people will forget most of what you say, but they will remember the way you said it. B, the tone of voice. The mere tone of your voice accounts for fully 8 of your message. When you want to sound friendly, warm, reassuring, intimate, or caring when you speak, keep your voice in the lower range where the deeper sounds are. Also, remind yourself to slow down. It's very difficult to be close, friendly, warm, or thoughtful when you're speaking too quickly. Tone of voice is important, and that's why we need to give some thought to it, because if we're in a hurry or busy or rushed, sometimes our tone of voice can be clipped or short, and it can be hurtful. C, body language accounts for fully 55 of your communication. The very best message is a message that is synchronized. The words, the tone of voice, and the body are all synchronized to the message. Very important. That's why when somebody talks to you, it's important you turn toward them and face them directly when you talk to them and listen closely to what they say. Nod and pay attention. There's a great book called His Needs, Her Needs, and They Talk. Her first need is for attention, affection, and respect. Face, eye to eye, heart to heart. And if she gets those needs fulfilled, then everything else will be fine. If she does not get those needs fulfilled, she's going to be unhappy. The only time you're actually with the woman in your world is when you're face to face, giving them attention and listening to them when they talk, giving them affection and respect. Number two, there are 3 parts of any conversation. The first part of a conversation ethos has to do with the character of the person. A person who has high character can say little and be enormously influential. A person with limited character just doesn't have the same effect. B, pathos is the second part of communication. It means connecting with the emotions, and we connect with the emotions when we tune in and focus on the person and their problems and their needs. There was a wonderful line I read that said, if every person who complains about their problems could come from all corners of the earth and take and pile their problems in a heap, and if each person could see the size and gravity of the problems of others, they would sneak forward shamefacedly and take their petty problems away and creep into the night. C, the factual content of the conversation. In selling, what do we say? In selling, you establish rapport, which is the character you seek, the underlying problem or need, which is connecting with the pathos. And only then do you talk about your product or service, which is the logos. Number 3, there are 4 basic personality styles. The first is what we call relators. They are quiet, self-contained, not particularly expressive. They're sensitive people, oriented and concerned about other people's opinions. In the extreme, a relator will be hypersensitive to the opinions of others. They can't do anything without making sure that everybody else approves. If you're communicating with this person, it requires slow, low-key, easy-going, friendly, almost warm and fuzzy. The greatest concern in life is, let's get along. Let's all be friends. So, you find relators in fields like nursing, social services, teaching, small child development, psychology, personnel, or counselors, where they relate to other people. The next type of person is the analyzer. This is the kind of person who's not so much concerned about people, but more concerned about doing the job and are more inward, directed. Their primary concern is, let's be accurate. The analyzer who's fastidious and detail-oriented wants accuracy and just the facts. Well, they'll gravitate towards accounting, computers, engineering, bookkeeping, and computer programming. Any field where the problems don't talk back. The third type of person is what we call the director. They're most concerned with, let's get results, get to the bottom line, cut to the chase. Who do you think is reading Success Magazine, Business Week, Forbes, and Success Books, and Success Books, and Success audio programs? It's the director, the go-getter, the one who kicks, you know what, and then takes names. The fourth type of personality is expressive. The socializer is outgoing, the director valuable, and very people-oriented. Many times they become managers or executives because they have highly integrated personalities. They have both a strong focus on people and a very strong focus on achievement and getting things done. Now, everybody you meet is in one of these 4 quadrants or groups. No matter which style of communicator you are, 3/4 of the people you meet are something else. There's no right or wrong, better or worse style. Listening to people is to find out which style they are and then to practice personality flexibility so that you can get along with a greater number of different types of people. Whatever style you are, the person you are the most ideal for would be the exact opposite. Nature demands balance in temperament. Nature demands that the opposite person in the relationship or the marriage be temperamentally balanced with you. Number 4 is a balanced dialogue. In the ideal conversation, each person will get a chance to talk and each person will get a chance to listen. And there will be about a 10 to 15% period of easy silences. Easy silence. Just comfortable. People are comfortable with silence. Each of us has needs like vitamin and mineral needs to talk. And each of us have needs to listen. However, in some people, they will have 70% of the time they need to talk. And the other person, 70% of the time they need to talk. And so they're always clashing because they're both trying to get their talking out. The worst of all is when incompatibility sets in a relationship and both of them only need to talk 10 or 15% of the time. And then there's vast gaps of uncomfortable silence. This is where the two people really don't have very much in common anymore. Number 5, key to communication is to question for clarification. If you have any doubt at all, ask, how do you mean? Or how do you mean exactly? And then just pause and wait. It's almost impossible not to answer this question when you ask, how do you mean? The other person cannot stop himself or herself from answering more extensively. Follow up with other open-ended questions and keep the conversation rolling along. The way that you overcome your shyness is very simple. Tune in to the other person, ask questions, and then listen carefully to the answers. Focus on encouraging the other person to talk about them. In fact, I'll give you a secret for success in life. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Number 6 is acknowledge and agree. Good conversationalists are active conversationalists. They're not sitting there passively like fence posts. They're actually engaged. Active listening is very, very important. Put down the magazine or newspaper, turn off the television set, lean in, be there the whole time. Number 7, listen attentively. When you listen, his or her feeling of personal value increases. You can actually make another person feel terrific about himself or herself by listening in a warm, genuine, caring way to everything he or she has to say. The more each listens to the other, the more positive and happy each of them feels, and the stronger bonds of affection between them. Now, the opposite of this thing is ignoring. The fastest way to turn a person off, to hurt their feelings, and to make them feel slighted and angry is to simply ignore what they are saying or interrupt them in the middle of a thought. Men are 95% more likely to interrupt a woman than a woman is to interrupt a man. The more you listen to another person, the more he or she trusts you and believes in you. Number 8 is for you to paraphrase the speaker's words in your own words. By paraphrasing the speaker's words, you demonstrate in no uncertain terms that you are genuinely paying attention and making every effort to understand his or her thoughts or feelings. This is where you really prove that you are really listening. So paraphrase it in your own words. Take the time to paraphrase and rethink about paraphrasing while you're listening, and you'll always be a better listener. Number 9 is pause before replying. When you pause, you accomplish 3 goals simultaneously. First, you avoid running the risk of interrupting if the other person is just catching his or her breath before continuing. The second benefit is that you show the other person that you are giving careful consideration to his or her words by not jumping in with your own comments at the earliest opportunity. The third benefit of pausing in conversation is that you will actually hear the other person better.